Good morning, Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend, listeners worldwide. Welcome on in to another edition of the Sunday Sports Rush right here on News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. It is episode number 87, live from the Hess Fitness Studios in the 1440 Keys headquarters. I am your host, James Espinosa, joined by co-host and producer Adin Ducker.
What's Gucci with it?
We got a packed show today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for getting on in on this beautiful Sunday morning here in Corpus Christi. Coming up in the first hour at 9:50, we have WTF. High school football hazing in San Antonio made some news. Pretty graphic details. We will dive into that at 9:50 in WTF. At 9:30, Jerry Jones was on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and it was a damn circus. We got audio for you coming up at 9:30. At 9:20, it's the news. College football is back, baby. And Kevin Durant and the Nets have come to a resolution. So we'll dive into all of that here in the first hour. If you want to get into the show, hit us up on the text line, 361-882-5397. That's right. You could text or give us a call, 361-882-5397. At 10:30, we got my good friend Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas. He'll be on the line to talk some Dallas Cowboys for us as they exit the preseason and get ready for the regular season. So that interview with Shane Carter coming up at 10:30. But right now, let's go ahead and continue with the Dallas Cowboys subject, because this past week, boy, oh boy, Aiden.
Yeah.
361-882-5397. Hit us up on the text line with all of your Dallas Cowboys hot takes. Man, Tyron Smith went down once again. On Wednesday night during practice at the Star in Frisco, Tyron Smith suffered a severe injury to his left hamstring, which will cost him multiple months, pretty much the entire 2022 season. Here's the exact injury. He suffered an avulsion fracture of the knee, meaning the hamstring tendon that sits at the back of the knee. So just imagine your hamstring on the back of the knee. It got pulled off the bone. He needs surgery, sources say. If he's back at all, it will be December. A tough loss for the Cowboys. Tyron Smith is down. The offensive line already had tons of questions. But my thing is this. How the Cowboys approached the tackle position in the offseason is insane to me, knowing that Tyron Smith since 2015 has missed time. For 6 straight years, Tyron Smith has missed at least 3 or more games since 2015. Hasn't started a full season since 2015.
And then knowing how Dak Prescott performs without Tyron Smith being there as well throughout his career.
It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. So how did the Cowboys approach the offseason in terms of their tackle position, knowing that Tyron Smith is a walking injury waiting to happen? Well, here's what the Dallas Cowboys front office did. In particular, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, Dumb and Dumber in the Cowboys front office. Let's see. They cut Lyle Collins, who still had some years on his contract left. Lyle probably could have played left tackle.
I mean, did he ever get signed?
He's with the Bengals.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the Bengals.
He's their starting right tackle now on the AFC champion Bengals. Lyle probably could have done that. Let's see. They drafted Tyler Smith, but they put him at guard. By the way, Tyler Smith was injured this past week with an ankle. He didn't even play Friday night against the Seahawks. And Tyler Smith hasn't had any tackle snaps since June. Nice insurance policy. They drafted Matt Waletzko out of North Dakota, and they got second-year tackle Josh Ball. That is what it's looking like right now in terms of replacements. Tyler Smith, Matt Waletzko, and Josh Ball. 2 rookies and 1 second-year player. All of them have yet to start an NFL game. That is what you're looking at currently to replace Tyron Smith at left tackle, to replace Tyron Smith on Dak Prescott's blind side. Color me concerned here, okay? I am not in the right mood this morning, Aiden. And you know I've been having the takes. You know I've been loading up the chamber to go in on this one right here.
Yeah, I expect SB rant today.
It is just amazing how Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones put themselves in this position, and now all of a sudden, it's scramble mode. Let's hit that panic button because we need somebody to play left tackle. Out of those three, the ones currently on roster, Tyler Smith, Matt Waletzko, and Josh Ball, you have to figure they're going to kick Tyler Smith out to left tackle and put the rookie first-round pick out there. That is my inclination. That is what I feel the Cowboys will do. Time will tell. But Jerry Jones, of course, he was on First Take this past week. I'll kind of dip into that segment a little bit. Jerry Jones did say that Tyler Smith would most likely move out to left tackle. Stephen Jones also did say that as well. But just looking at the Tyron Smith injury history, I think this is a career ender. Honestly, man, I think it might be time.
I've been saying it. Tyron Smith is going to retire within the next couple of seasons. It might be after this year.
So let's go back to 2016, where he started this 6-year consecutive injury streak. 2016, he hurt his back and knee. He missed 3 games. 2017, hurt his back, groin, and knee, missed 3 games. 2018, a neck injury, missed 3 games. 2019, ankle and back, missed 3 games. 2020, neck injury, missed 14 games. 2021, ankle injury, missed 5 games. And now we sit here, 2022, with a hamstring injury that's going to keep him out till at least December, maybe even the entire season. I think it's time, guys. I think it's time that we realize Tyron Smith will never be the guy he once was. A great player, yes. A Hall of Famer, Aiden, what do you think? I would say yes.
He is a Hall of Famer.
But what about this? I don't know. The injury history?
Dude, look at how many All-Pros he's made.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, he's going to be for sure Hall of Famer.
361-882-5397. Hit us up on the text line. Let us know, what do you want the Cowboys to do at left tackle? Where should they go? Who are some guys out there that the Cowboys could possibly bring in? Speaking of guys they could bring in, who can they target? Well, there was rumors this past week, Aiden, that Andrew Whitworth, former Los Angeles Ram, Super Bowl champion, 40-year-old Andrew Whitworth, who was the left tackle for Matthew Stafford in that Rams offense. There's rumors that the Cowboys could be interested in persuading him out of retirement. We actually have Andrew Whitworth audio. He was on Thursday night's Amazon football game coverage, and the sideline reporter asked him, hey, have you been getting any calls recently? And I found it interesting, Aiden. So we have the audio of Andrew Whitworth. This is what Whitworth had to say. Now, try and read between the lines here with Andrew Whitworth and his comments.
Has your phone been ringing?
It has. I mean, obviously there's been some things with, the Cowboys and losing Tyron Smith, which is an awful deal. Such a great player and guy I've always just loved watching play. But it's been a busy day of answering calls. The problem is they're calling and texting the wrong person. They need to be texting and calling Melissa Whitworth and the kids because they have final approval on whether I'm ever going to play football again.
You heard it right there.
I don't know if I sent it to y'all yesterday, but his wife kind of shot that down.
Yeah, she did. So Melissa Whitworth responded to some Twitter comments, and she went in on Pro Football Talk because Pro Football Talk wrote a story saying that the Cowboys and Whitworth had discussions, when you clearly heard in the audio that there has been phone calls, but he didn't specifically say that the Cowboys called him. But I think it kind of slipped up a little bit in there where you could kind of put 2 and 2 together that maybe the Cowboys did reach out. Anyways, Melissa Whitworth said on Twitter, nope, I'm sorry, folks, but he never said they called him. He said he's, quote, received calls about it, but never said the Cowboys called. Y'all all sound like lovely people, though, down there in Dallas. Taking a little quick shot right there. So, I don't know. Andrew Whitworth could be a possibility.
Is he still under contract with the Rams still?
He is technically still under contract, so they would have to maneuver some things right there. Some other guys who have been rumored to the Cowboys since the Tyron Smith injury. You got Eric Fisher, former #1 overall pick, former left tackle of the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Jason Peters. He's old.
Peters, he's
Veteran.
another future Hall of Famer. I mean, but you Cowboys fans have asked them to sign veteran players in the offseason, not, like Julio Jones, they let get signed by the Bucks.
Yes.
Like, do you expect the Cowboys to do anything?
You got another interesting name right here, Darrell Williams and Nate Solder. Those are guys still on the block. And then the one interesting name that has been brought up is 26-year-old Isaiah Wynn from New England.
Really?
Yeah, Isaiah Wynn. That could be a possibility for the Cowboys. So, hey, we'll see what happens here. But the fact is, Tyron Smith is done. He probably will never be back. He probably will never be the same again. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys just look at the injury history here, look at the contract and say, you know what, man? We got to cut ties with you at some point. Your best ability is your availability, and Tyron Smith hasn't had that since 2015. The last time Tyron Smith started a full season was in 2015. That was back when the Cowboys were still operating out of Valley Ranch, before they even moved into the Star at Frisco. So just put that into perspective, how long it's been since Tyron Smith has had a full, healthy year. So, man, tough, dude. I'm worried. I am legitimately worried for Dak Prescott.
I have been telling y'all, even before Tyron Smith injury, I've been telling y'all about them Eagles and how this NFC East, there's never been a repeat winner since the 2000s decade. You know what I'm saying? But y'all keep wanting to say the Cowboys still gonna win the division anyway, and
we're still drinking that Cowboys Kool-Aid, man.
Y'all gotta realize the Eagles actually made moves in the offseason to improve their roster. Who knows? We'll have to see it on the field, but at least they tried. The Cowboys, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right, man. It is what it is at this point, and the Cowboys are going to have to make a move here because I'm not comfortable with Josh Ball at left tackle. I'm not comfortable with Matt Waletzko at left tackle. I'm not even sure I'm comfortable with rookie Tyler Smith at left tackle. It's a different ball game playing left tackle in the NFL when you got to go against those beasts at defensive end who are just pinning the ears back and going at it every single snap. It's a whole nother ball game being a left tackle in the NFL as comparison to college football. And so far, I know Ball has had a rough preseason. Well, let's go look decent on Friday night. But Tyler Smith hasn't had left tackle snaps since June. He didn't get to play in the preseason finale where they could have put him at left tackle. The first time Tyler Smith would see left tackle snaps is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, September 11th on Sunday night. That's concerning. Big time concerning. So hit us up with your Cowboys takes on the text line 361-882-5397. What should the Cowboys do with the left tackle position? Who should they sign? What should the Cowboys do? Because it is borderline panic mode right now with the injury of Tyron Smith. All right, that's going to wrap up segment number 1. 361-882-5397. It's episode number 87 of the Sunday Sports Rush. James Espinosa and Adin Ducker with you. Coming up next, it's the 920 news. I got another quick Cowboys note to get to. College football is back, baby. We talk that and more. Keep it locked to the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush, episode number 87. We're with you here till 11 a.m. Coming up in 10 minutes' time, Jerry Jones was on First Take with Stephen A. Smith. It was a damn circus at the Star this week. We got audio for you of Jerry Jones on First Take coming up in 10 minutes. James Espinosa and Adin Ducker with you right now. We want to thank our good friends, Crossroads Clinical Research. Shout out to them, Jerry Plemons. Give them a call at 361-288-4668. They're working on weight loss surveys. They're working on a vaccine to prevent birth defects. Hit them up, 361-288-4668. If you have any further questions or information, Jerry Plemons is a great guy, good friend of the show. Thanks once again to Crossroads Clinical Research for sponsoring the Sunday Sports Rush. All right. Question of the day, what should the Cowboys do at left tackle with the injury to Tyron Smith? I'm putting that question out to the audience, 361-882-5397, so make sure you hit us up on that front. Quick Cowboys note here that happened earlier in the week. The Cowboys cut Liram Hirolaju, the kicker, and now they're going with Brett Maher. Brett Maher will be the starting kicker for the Cowboys entering week 1 of the NFL season.
Oh man, y'all have some great memories of him, huh?
Really good. Hey, look, at least he can hit 55-plus yarders. But when it comes to those 35 to about 50-yard attempts, it could be suspect. It can be very suspect. We saw that with him. That's why he got cut the first time. But he's back now, and he did pretty well in the preseason. So hopefully he's kind of rectified some of those inaccuracy issues. So just wanted to get that little Cowboys nugget out of the way. But if you have anything to add to us on the text line, hit us up, 361-882-5397. All right, let's go ahead. Let's dive into the 920 news.
There's a lot of news.
And now the news.
College football is officially back. Yesterday was quote-unquote week 0 of the college football season. Now, I didn't watch much college football, Aiden, but I did catch at least a good portion of the marquee game of the day. It was Nebraska versus Northwestern in Ireland, of all places. Went out there, a school from Nebraska, a school from Chicago, traveling to Ireland to play a football game. That was just kind of an odd sight.
And I heard the electricity went out in the stadium, and all those Irish fans got free beer.
Yes.
Imagine that has to be, I don't mean to stereotype, but Irish people are known for their drinking.
Oh, hell
and
yeah,
whatnot.
they are.
Man, I can imagine how lit it got.
It must have been pretty cool. I did see a video on Twitter of the line to get free beer, and it was massive. It was a big line.
I don't blame him.
Let me ask you a question. How long would you wait in line for a free beer? Would you wait 5 minutes? What's the longest you'd wait? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, or 30 minutes?
It's a free beer. Normally, those probably cost almost $10.
So how long are you willing to wait
As
in
long
line?
as I can.
Really?
Yeah. I'd rather...
Even 30 minutes?
Yeah, for a free beer? Of course.
You could probably... you could probably get like 2 beers, I'd suppose.
Oh, James, I know you're staying in line.
You think I'm staying in line?
Yes.
If I was at that Northwestern-Nebraska game, I'm staying in line.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
And if you're a Nebraska fan, you probably needed it anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Nebraska, they did lose yesterday, 31-28. This game was crazy. It was entertaining. I'll tell you that. It was a fun game to watch.
You know who the first person I thought of when Nebraska pulled Nebraska? That poor security guard in that episode of Better Call Saul.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Him cutting his cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
How about them Huskers yesterday?
And don't worry, Jerry. It's not really a spoiler. It's just a character, but it's one of the things. Yeah.
One of the notes I wanted to point out from the Nebraska game was that former Texas quarterback Casey Thompson played quite well. 25 of 42, 355 yards, 1 touchdown. He did good, but we saw a lot of things that plagued him with Texas. His inability to hit on the deep ball consistently. So hopefully Casey has a pretty good year with Nebraska. But Nebraska starts 0-1. Scott Frost, the head coach of Nebraska, is already fielding questions of if he's going to step down. The Cornhuskers are the first Power 5 team to lose 9 consecutive one-score games since Iowa State did it from 2014 to 2016. It just seems like they're plagued, man. They lose close games all the time. They just can't finish.
Yeah, and Scott Frost seems like one of those coaches where, okay, my team's playing well, then he gets too cute.
Yeah.
He overplays his hand.
They had a weird onside kick attempt yesterday.
I've never seen any coach do this, ever. It just doesn't make any sense, man.
No, and speaking
Up 11.
Yeah.
In the middle of it wasn't even towards the end of the game. It was like in the middle of the third quarter.
It was just weird, dude. You're right. Scott Frost does seem to be, snake bitten in that sense. Another Scott Frost note: since 2018, the Huskers are 5-21 in one-score games. That's the worst record in FBS over that span. 5-21 in one-score games. Like I said, they just can't get it done. So college football's back. Next week is whenever the big dogs start kicking it off. Texas will play. All the big teams will be back on the schedule. So next week we'll have a lot more college football talk. I just wanted to toss that out here at the beginning of the 920 news. Next news item here. The Nets and Kevin Durant have agreed to move forward together. Kevin Durant is staying in Brooklyn after an offseason rumored that he was going to leave. He didn't want to be in Brooklyn. So Kevin Durant is staying. Kyrie Irving is staying. Steve Nash is staying as the head coach. And, quote, they're focused with one collective goal in mind, build a lasting franchise to bring a championship. That is what Nets owner Joe Tsai said. So Kevin Durant's back, I suppose.
I mean, I'll give credit to the Nets owner for sticking to his guns and not backing down on KD.
It's actually, yes, I agree with that, because the player empowerment movement for the last 5-6 years had been pretty strong, to where if a player gets angry, they automatically want to leave and the owners acquiesce. Joe Tsai and the Nets management said, no, dude, you still got like 4 years left on your contract. We're not going to get you out. Either suck it up, get over it, or retire. So I'm glad that the Nets ownership held firm and didn't give in to Kevin Durant.
R.I.P. Kyrie to the Lakers.
Yeah.
That was cute while it lasted.
That too. So good for the Nets front office on not caving in. It's time that the owners start stepping up a little bit to these big-time players who want to get out of contracts early, not fully commit to the contract, and want to leave at any sign of adversity. Back in the day, players would stick around and stay. I know I sound like old man yelling at cloud, but recently, man, it's just really irked me with the NBA how players just want to jump ship every single time. And you know what? I'll even throw LeBron into that mix, because he's done it a couple of times also. But at least with LeBron, he sticks around for a few years and, typically leads his team pretty deep or to the NBA Finals. He's done it at every stop he's been at. Okay. He has.
Yeah.
He has.
Anyway.
So, I'll move on. Move on from LeBron. So good on the Nets for making sure that Kevin Durant sticks around. Another news item to get to before we hit the break. This is concerning NIL, name, image, and likeness. Hooters, the wing franchise.
They're still around?
They are still around. Not in Corpus. Remember the Hooters in Corpus burned down?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. I think they're bringing it back.
I don't think so. I heard they're not.
No? Well, interesting. Well, Hooters signed 51 offensive linemen to a deal. So 51 offensive linemen from various colleges, Auburn, LSU, Oklahoma, Miami, Georgia Tech, Missouri, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Florida Atlantic, and USF. Several offensive linemen now have a NIL deal with Hooters, which is pretty kick-ass. And my question to you, Aiden, before we hit the break, 361-882-5397, drums or flats?
I'm a drums guy.
Okay. Ranch or blue cheese?
I have to go ranch.
Oh,
I don't really like either, but I mean, there's ranch is better.
I'm a flats guy. Love me some flats. I like to work that bone. I like to work the meat off the bone a little bit. And then I like blue cheese. Blue cheese is sophisticated. You are done. Blue cheese is a sophisticated condiment. It's a sophisticated dip.
We've been talking about the boys too much.
We have. Oi!
Dude.
Oi, mate! You're a ripe! You know what? So there we go. That's going to wrap up the 920 news. Coming up next, we got Jerry Jones audio on First Take. It was a damn circus in Dallas. We got the audio. We'll dissect everything that Jerry said. Coming up next on the Sunday Sports Rush. Keep it right here. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush with you till 11 a.m. It's James Espinosa and Adin Ducker with you. Hit us up on the text line, 361-882-5397. That is 361-882-5397. Get all your hot sports opinions in on the show. We'll be glad to read them live on air and even have some discussion about them. Coming up in 10 minutes, we got WTF. There was a hazing incident involving a San Antonio high school football team with some details that are absolutely wild. We'll dive into that in about 10 minutes with WTF. Shout out to Nucky's Cocktail Bar, by the way. Nucky's Cocktail Bar, our new sponsor, one of our new sponsors on the show. 1406 North 14th Street in Kingsville, Texas. It's your spot to go experience fresh handcrafted cocktails with your favorite Texas craft beer and domestics on draft. But the best part about Nucky's is their mouth-watering wings. I love some hot lemon pepper mixed. Those guys are awesome down there. They're also available on DoorDash. And today on Sunday, it's all-day happy hour. So hit them up, 1406 North 14th Street in Kingsville. It's Nucky's Cocktail Bar. Thank you for sponsoring the show. All right. So we do have some Jerry Jones audio to get into here real quickly. Before we do that, though, shout out to our friend Alex Weister, who is officially a resident of Dallas. He hit us up on the text line this morning, or hit us up on our Twitter chat, I should say, and said that his parents officially dropped him off. And now Alex is a young man on his own in the Big D of Dallas. So good luck to Alex. Hopefully we could catch up with him here in a week or so. Maybe he'll have time to call in and we'll get an update on Alex and how everything's going for him up in the DFW. But back to the topic at hand. The Cowboys this past week had First Take, Stephen A. Smith's First Take show, live from the Star in Frisco. And I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Absolutely maddening what happened.
You know what's funny? The Dallas Cowboys social media, obviously led by Jerry Jones, called them out basically. Like you won't get Jerry Jones on the show. You won't come to Dallas Cowboys training camp. And Stephen A. clearly said bet.
Big bet. And well, Stephen A. was there. And okay, so it started off that morning with Stephen A. riding with Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones's Jerry Force One helicopter. That was insanity. They did like a whole segment from the helicopter. It was crazy. I didn't grab no audio of that because it didn't sound too good, but
yeah, I'm shocked they were able to even get that to work.
But just hijinks. Well, I want to play the first clip here because it was a damn circus. It was a circus. The Cowboys coming off of the Tyron Smith injury, yet to address the left tackle position, but it was a circus, and they had Stephen A. Smith and all the First Take clowns there, and Jerry Jones was on the big stage, on the big dais, as you can hear the circus theme in the background, fitting for how the Cowboys have treated this offseason. Well, Jerry Jones had some comments, and the first one I want to play, Aiden, is Jerry Jones literally calling Stephen A. Smith out and calling him a fraud. Here it is.
That stuff coming out of Stephen A., they're the ones that said you couldn't have something like the Star.
See?
Okay? They always say that, Stephen A.
Always.
When you're not there, but let me tell you what they do. They come on around, and you've been talking about it. When we do make us some of that success, my friend Stephen A., and I want him there, the prodigal son. I'll have him right back. I'll bring him right back in.
I'm going to receive you back.
What are you talking about specifically? What are you trying to say, Jerry?
Well, what I'm saying is deep down you're a fraud. You're a real Cowboy fan.
Good Lord.
I want to know what Michael Irvin was on.
Michael Irvin was just adding so much insanity to that whole thing. So Jerry Jones calls Stephen A. fraud, saying Stephen A. is a closet Cowboys fan. Stephen A. had a big laugh about it. And then in the background, I didn't get this part of the clip, but after Jerry said that, after Jerry called Stephen A. a fraud, you have the Cowboys fans in the background chanting, Jerry, 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 Jerry. It is a reality show, man. The Dallas Cowboys are a reality show. Don't mind the fact that Tyron Smith just got hurt. Jerry Jones was just spin zoning everything, and those Cowboys fans were eating it up. Jerry Jones talked about success. When we do have that success, we haven't had success, Jerry, in 26 years, bro. What success are we talking about, Aiden? Can you help me with that? What success? What is success as a Cowboys fan? 361-882-5397.
Here's the thing. As long as the Cowboys are still the number one franchise and revenue and total net worth, it's gonna be a success to him no matter what.
Yeah, you're right, man. And you know what? I'm guilty. Hand up. I'm gonna go to a Cowboys game this year.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go to a Cowboys game this year, and I'll be excited about it. But damn, man, that was insane. So Jerry Jones later on First Take goes on to talk about Zeke Elliott. And this right here drove Cowboys Twitter into shambles. Jerry Jones on First Take said, it's still a fact we go through Zeke Elliott. Here is Jerry talking about Zeke.
He's in the best shape he's ever been in. Now, it is still a fact. We go as Zeke goes. I know it's a lot on Dak's shoulders, but we go as Zeke goes. He's very capable of being everything we've ever wanted to be. The wild card, though, is the guy that's playing beside him, Pollard.
That's right.
And so we put Pollard in some plans that with Zeke, for the defenses to have to work against midweek and be ready to play. Then you've got Pollard. We really like where we are at running back, but it all starts and stops with Zeke.
It all starts and stops with Zeke.
I mean, technically he isn't wrong if he, put analytics cap on, the games where Zeke performs well, usually the Cowboys wins. It's as simple as that.
And you know what? I will say that Jerry was speaking a little bit of truth right there. I'm not going to hate on Jerry all the time. If the Cowboys are able to get Zeke back into form and get him back to that 2019 Zeke where he rushed for 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry, then yeah, the Cowboys will go through Zeke, and hopefully they can utilize Pollard like the way Jerry was mentioning. But that has yet to be seen with Tony Pollard being utilized to his full skill set. So that's going to be on Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy to figure out. But, hey, Zeke, past couple of years, a little bit rough. Last year, of course, he did have that injury. He did barely get over 1,000 yards with 17 games. I know a lot of people like to say, he was a 1,000-yard rusher. Yeah, he was, 1,002 yards. I get it. He did it. Whatever. He still had 10 touchdowns. Zeke is still a very formidable short-distance back. And he might not have that breakaway speed that he once had, but by all accounts, Zeke has looked pretty good in training camp. So I guess we'll see come Sunday night, September the 11th, against the Bucs, and from there on forward. So that was Jerry Jones say that the Cowboys will go through Zeke. And another note on that, Aiden, they might just be forced to do that with the offensive line being injured, with them might not being able to pass block as efficiently, with the receiving core in shambles, with all the injuries they have, all the young guys they got coming into the receiving core. The passing game might struggle a little bit, so the Cowboys might have to rely on Zeke and Tony Pollard just a little bit more. The next audio clip that I have is a Jerry Jones callback. Jerry Jones has been known to use the term glory hole. Once famously did it at Cowboys training camp, and we have a famous drop of it somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Where he first used it. But Jerry Jones decided on first take, you know what? I'm going to go back to that glory hole well. And here's Jerry Jones talking about some glory hole on first take.
Right. I can't tell you how many times in my life when I have had it handed to me in a lot of different ways, but I went back to work, got up on Monday morning, and there it was, glory hole. Right there in the middle of it.
Resiliency.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of different ways, James. How your PR guy, how has a PR guy not told Jerry Jones what that means?
Oh,
and listeners, we don't have to describe it.
Yeah.
We're
trying to be family friendly here. It's Sunday morning. It's church drive radio.
Yes, but you can look it up.
You can look it up.
Warning.
Yeah. Trigger warning.
But come on, man.
So,
and James.
I want me some glory hole.
So there's the famous I want me some glory hole drop from training camp several years back, and Jerry Jones went back to that glory hole well that every time he wakes up, he always finds that glory hole in the middle. So insane, so just unstable going on with the Cowboys and everything that happened with first take. We got another Jerry Jones clip I want to play. Because Jerry Jones was asked by Stephen A. Smith, what does the offense have to do now that Tyron Smith is out? Well, Jerry Jones said on first take that the offensive talent has to step up. Here's Jerry Jones on first take.
I like where we are. I'll compare it to last year. I like where we are relative to our skill positions, and frankly, our challenge is in our offensive line. And and we've got some news that we're dealing with today, to say the least, on Tyron Smith. But the offensive talent has got to step up, and they've got to understand we don't have it. The offensive talent has to step up with a recognition that we can't count on what you might have had up there. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Problem.
So he's saying the offensive talent has to step up with, Tyron Smith going down, with having a young, inexperienced offensive line, sans Zach Martin. Okay, I guess they do have to step up. Is he wrong?
He's calling out Dak without saying it.
I was just about to get to that, Aiden. Excellent point. he is calling out Dak Prescott in a passive-aggressive way because he's pretty much saying, Dak, it's on you, man. I want to see if you can do it like the greats have done it when things are against you, when you don't have an offensive line that's going to protect you all the time. He is saying, Dak Prescott, this is your 7th year. We're paying you $40 million per season. If you want that contract extension, you're going to have to show us that you can be one of these quarterbacks that makes it work when all things aren't 100%.
Yeah, and I know we traded away your number 1 receiver because we didn't want to pay him, even though we had the money to pay him.
Yeah, and I know that we didn't sign any depth on the offensive line.
We didn't sign any veteran receivers to help you out.
We cut Lyle Collins with a couple of years left on his contract, because our money got mad.
But you have to play like an elite quarterback, Dak.
That's what he's saying. And the elite quarterbacks, let's be fair, they usually do get it done when there are a couple of injuries around them.
I mean, like the Packers with Aaron Rodgers not having Devontae Adams, but I mean, they're still gonna win some games. Aaron Rodgers still gotta find a way to make things work. All great quarterbacks have done it. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees.
Even Patrick Mahomes has done it to an extent, except the Super Bowl kind of got him in trouble when his offensive line was a little bit shaken. That got him in trouble, but he still made it work. He still tried to. He still got them to the Super Bowl.
And the Chiefs, even though they don't have Tyreek Hill, I don't expect any. Are they be number 1 seed? No, but I still think they're going to put up points.
So, Jerry Jones taking a passive-aggressive shot at Dak Prescott. 361-882-5397. Hit us up on the text line. Let us know what you think about Jerry's comments. Anything related to the Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about the Cowboys going into the 2022 season? What are some of your Cowboys predictions? Hit us up on the text line, 361-882-5397. I want to read real quickly. I know we only have like a minute before we got to get to the break, but there were a couple of tweets that I took from some fans reacting to Jerry Jones on Twitter. So this one comes from Kelly K9. Kelly K9 says, I'm going to be honest. First taking Jerry Jones on there debating and cracking jokes is embarrassing. Why can't we just be a regular team whose primary focus is building a effing winning team?
Because Jerry loves, he loves the attention and he loves theatrics and it sells. It's the brand that keeps on bringing in the big bucks, and that's what he's really great at. And why stop if it's bringing you that revenue?
This one comes from Eric. This will be the last tweet I read before the break. Eric on Twitter says, I'm in a blender trying to figure out how are we going to survive at left tackle this season. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jerry Jones is doing first take and taking helicopter rides with Stephen A. Smith. What the F is wrong with this picture?
I mean, if I was Jerry Jones...
I'm insane, bro.
I mean, if I was Jerry Jones' age and I had all the money that he has, I mean, I'd be living up life to the fullest... as much as I can.
I know, but it's just that dichotomy of seeing him just parading around, seeing him doing his spin zone, seeing him tossing out all the red flags, seeing him with his Jerry ball, and we're going to be okay. It's just all that, and the fact that the Cowboys did not get better in the offseason. The Cowboys let go of so many starters from last year. 5 to 6 starters on the offense are gone from last year, and this team is expected to be better. I'm having a hard time thinking that the Cowboys are going to be a better team than what they were last season. 361-882-5397. Let us know your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys heading into the 2022 season. Coming up next, though, it's WTF high school football hazing in San Antonio, and a man hit the trifecta with diseases. We'll talk all that and more in WTF after the break. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush. James Espinosa and Adin Ducker hanging with you till 11 a.m. 361-882-5397. Get your takes on in here. We do have some guys on the text line. I got some comments rolling in on Facebook concerning Tyron Smith and the Dallas Cowboys. I will get to y'all after this segment. We have a short segment here, so I don't want to waste any time. I will get to y'all. Remain patient. But right now, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's WTF.
What the F-bomb is going on?
Oh, yeah. That's what the F I'm talking about.
What the is that?
Who are you?
What is wrong with you?
High school football hazing. My goodness. Adin, let me ask you a question real quick. You played high school football.
Yes.
Is hazing a part of the culture? Was there a degree of hate? I mean, look, you don't have to implicate anybody.
There's a lot of shenanigans, tomfoolery, and debauchery.
Okay.
It's high school kids. I'm not defending, what we're about to,
Yeah.
But it's just how, your brain's not developed fully yet.
Well.
And it's teens, it's, yeah.
Teenagers make mistakes, and these teenagers from the Alamo Heights Independent School District, the Alamo Heights football team, the Mules, as they are regarded by, they got into a lot of trouble with a hazing incident that happened this past week. 21 of the high school football players on the varsity team were suspended as a result of the district's investigation, an adult source at the district tells KENS 5 in San Antonio. That same source says some of the athletes, the perpetrators, received 2-game suspensions, while 1-game punishments were handed to the victims who were, quote-unquote, considered willing participants. The alleged incident reportedly did not take place on the district's property or during school hours, but according to that source that told KENS 5 San Antonio, this is what happened. Quote, the senior boys did an initiation where they went out to the baseball fields and made the younger players put cookies dipped in hot sauce between their butt cheeks. Then they had to race each other, and if any of the cookies fell out, the person would have to eat it. They made them do this in an open space completely naked. They then also were throwing hot sauce on some of the players. Then, at a later party, made some of the freshmen get down to their boxers and give lap dances to some cheerleaders. That is what happened.
This is, we fooled around and whatnot, but this is a whole nother level of just.
Oh my God, man!
Something had to have happened for this to come out.
Well, something did happen, Aiden, because one of the alleged hazing victims landed in the hospital emergency room due to what was going on.
And that's how it gets downhill from there.
So the district officials claim that administrators and coaches had no knowledge of any allegations prior to receiving these reports. So yeah, man.
When you're a head coach and you're a teacher and administrator, you try your best to set an example for your students, but you can't really control what they do outside of school.
I go through this same problem as a teacher. I have the class that I teach is a behavior classroom, and I can only control what they do in my classroom. But once they go to their, second, third, fourth, their periods throughout the day, it's up to them to honestly make those proper choices, man. You can only control what you can control.
And I'm not going to go into detail, but my senior year, like 40 to 60 around, it was a number around there of my classmates didn't even get to walk the stage because of senior pranks in the middle of the night that went wrong at Carroll. Not gonna go into detail. I walked the stage. I did walk the stage.
Not gonna go into detail, but yeah.
So and this is a story program too. This is one of the 2 or 3 most story programs on San Antonio.
Yes, it is. Last year they went 13-1, and now they moved down to 5A Division II. They're actually one of the top teams, along with Gregory Portland and Flower Bluff and Liberty Hill. Those are actually the top 4 ranked teams in Region 4. So this could be a potential playoff opponent for Gregory Portland.
And they got a couple, during the school's history, got a couple state titles.
Yeah.
In the and
so those players, 21 players, got suspended. They played Seguin on Friday night, and they lost 42-39.
They had to play their JV.
Yeah. They had to have.
And you probably had guys playing both ways as well.
Yep, but they lost 42-39. They still almost won. That just tells you how deep that program is. But yeah, that's a crazy-ass story. Another story that I wanted to get to is something that Aiden brought up to me prior to the show. An Italian man was diagnosed with, get this, he was diagnosed at the same time with COVID, monkeypox, and HIV. A 36-year-old man in Italy appears to be the world's first documented case of being diagnosed with COVID, monkeypox, and HIV at the same time this summer, according to a recent case report published in the Journal of Infection. My God.
I want to know what this guy was doing before he got diagnosed. He probably had one hell of a time, man.
Probably did, dude.
He probably had, some of the best fun he's ever had, and it probably... I mean, I'm not going to say HIV is worth it. It's not.
No.
But I guess his life experience before then was...
He was living, I don't know, he might have been living pretty hard, man.
Yeah.
They said he had a fever, sore throat, headache. 9 days later, he returned from a 5-day trip to Spain. On July 2nd, he tested positive for COVID. He noticed rashes on his left arm later that afternoon. Then they diagnosed him with monkeypox, painful blisters spread across his face, torso, legs. And then a few days later, he tested positive for HIV.
So he's recovered from COVID and monkeypox, but HIV stays with you forever.
Yeah, man, that's harsh, dude. That could be a death sentence.
Man, he got the triple crown, huh?
He did.
He put up a triple double.
He was putting up numbers in Spain, but yeah, that's
Will Chamberlain numbers. Probably.
That is a crazy that's a crazy thing right there that happened. I cannot even imagine. And speaking of monkeypox, not to dive too much into that, but the first case was announced here in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Monkeypox, bro.
And I know how
Baba Vanga.
I know how dirty, damp, and deep y'all Corpus Christi citizens love to do. Just be careful.
Yes, please, for the love of what.
Be careful.
Now, we had a segment a few weeks back talking about the clairvoyant Baba Vanga who passed away in 1996. She did say a second pandemic was coming. Could monkeypox be that pandemic? Ooh, could Baba Vanga hit on this one also? Just saying. She said it.
Now, from what I hear, monkeypox isn't really fatal.
It's just painful, dude.
Yeah, and then you get these sores, so you know when you have it.
I've seen videos of people with the monkeypox, and bro, it is something that I don't wish on my worst enemy. Put it that way. Like, it just looks devastating, dude, to where you can't even sit down comfortably. Devastating. So yeah, this man, the trifecta was hit. COVID, monkeypox, and HIV. My goodness, I hope this guy is all right in the long term. So there we go. That's going to wrap up our WTF segment. Hit us up on the text line, 361-882-5397. We're still taking your Cowboys comments. How do you feel the Cowboys are going to do in 2022 now that Week 1 is fastly approaching? Give us some records. How far do they go? Let us know on the text line, 361-882-5397. We want your Dallas Cowboys takes. But coming up next, we got some pigskin fun. We talk the latest NFL headlines right after the break. You're listening to News Talk KEYS, Corpus Christi, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. Keep it right here. Hour number 2 of the Sunday Sports Rush coming right up. Good morning, Corpus Christi, Coastal Bend listeners worldwide. Welcome on in to hour number 2 of the Sunday Sports Rush on News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM. I am your host, James Espinosa, joined alongside producer and co-host Adin Ducker.
Cougars, I love Cougars.
We're with you till 11 a.m. this morning. It's been a fast-paced first hour, talking tons of Dallas Cowboys with the Tyron Smith injury, with them heading into the 2022 season, Jerry Jones on First Take. Tons of questions left to be answered for this Cowboys team as they prepare for their Sunday night opener, September the 11th, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 361-882-5397. That's the number to get into the text line. Coming up here in the second hour at 10:50, I'm going to debut James's Cowboys Sports Diary. My first entry, I made it last night. I journaled, I diaried, and I just put my thoughts on paper, and I'm going to recite my first Cowboys Diary entry to you at 10:50. My thoughts and feelings on the Dallas Cowboys, my deepest, darkest secrets at 10:50. At 10:30, we got Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas. Going to talk some Dallas Cowboys football. At 10:20, we're going to talk some Texas high school football. But right now, we're going to do a little bit of NFL. And before we get to the NFL, Aiden, you can throw the NFL bet up there. I want to get to the text line because Aaron B. is on the text line, 361-882-5397. Aaron B. has a take on Tyron Smith and the Dallas Cowboys. So shout out to Aaron for getting in this morning. We appreciate you. Aaron says, with the loss of Tyron Smith, the Cowboys need to seriously look into finding a service left tackle via trade or free agency. Jason Peters / Eric Fisher. Having Josh Ball or Waletsko at starting left tackle would be a Chaz Green 2.0 situation. Facts. I agree.
Dak has not. I know Dak has had his moments, and he's been, for the most part, a good quarterback. But Dak has not been like as consistent as he was his rookie year, as consistent as you want him to be since that game, that Chaz Green game.
I believe that was 2017, his second year.
Yeah.
Second year in the league, where he got sacked. What was it, 7 or 8 times?
I think he got sacked
maybe
7 times, 6 by Adrian Claiborne.
Yes, that was just heartbreaking to watch. Robert's in here on the text line, 361-882-5397. He's talking about Tyron Smith. Robert says, definitely should have been prepared for this, given his injury history and age. Thank you, Robert. But yet again, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, a.k.a. Dumb and Dumber, a.k.a. the Ringling Bros of the NFL, they didn't do that because they like their guys. They like their guys. And you know what? That's what they're going to feed you, and that's what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you their guys are good enough. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they sign someone here coming up very shortly. So, shout out to y'all guys for getting in. 361-882-5397. Hit us up on the text line. Let us know your thoughts on the Cowboys or anything sports. All right, NFL pigskin fun. Let's go ahead and do that. Giants, their defensive end, Kayvon Thibodeau, hurt his knee this past week during a preseason game. He says he's good, but he's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks. Sucks for him.
Well, it could have been a lot worse.
My question, and it's been my question, why are these dudes in this game? Why are these guys playing preseason? It is not worth it anymore, in my opinion. It is not worth it to play some of your major guys in preseason. Another one goes down. Thibodeau out 3 to 4 weeks. Another injury note I wanted to get to here is that the Commanders officially put Chase Young, defensive end, on the physically unable to perform list. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season, including at Dallas in week 4, the game which I will attend.
Well, I mean, this was expected. He tore his ACL midway through last season.
You're right about that. Was expected. It's just, I guess, it's official now, so Chase Young will miss some time. Let's go ahead and get to our next little news item from the NFL. Tom Brady's back. It happened.
Yeah.
It happened after our show last week, but he ended his 11-day prearranged break from training camp for personal reasons. This morning, Tom Brady actually came out and made some comments. Tom Brady essentially saying, I'm 45 years old. S happens.
There's still something off. I know he's back, but something is going on that he's not bringing public.
This is the quote from Tom Brady this morning at Bucs training camp. Quote from Tom Brady on why he missed time. I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of S going on.
Maybe is this? I'm not gonna assume anything because this dude drinks blood from a goat.
Yeah, he drinks Zeus's. I don't know.
He
juice.
He does devil deals. Oh man, there was a tweet I found. I should have sent it, but somebody because the way that he looks now, they say he looks like one of those Team America puppets.
Wow.
From that movie Team America.
I'm looking at the picture right now of Brady. He has sunken face. It's weird. Like, I don't know. Like, he has no fat on his face.
Dude, this is like the start of like a horror movie, like like one of those Jordan Peele horror movies where like the guy, the bad guy looks unhinged at the beginning of the movie, and you kind of get creepy vibes off of him. Like, I'm legit.
So this is what league sources say that Tom Brady.
I'm shook.
That Tom Brady did during his time away from the Bucs. League sources indicated that Brady's time away from the team included a trip to the Bahamas at an exclusive resort and primarily for family time with his wife, Gisele Bündchen. His commitment to family and having a personal life was at the heart of this hiatus from football. And there was no medical emergency as speculated or other regions. So that line right there, his commitment to family and having a personal life was at the heart of this hiatus from football. Then why? What? You retired to be away from family. Now you're back. Now you took a trip with your family?
I still 100% believe that he was really officially retired, but he was so upset that Adam Schefter and somebody from his camp leaked that out, that he wanted to retire on his, he wanted to make the announcement himself. Tom Brady's probably gonna. I foresee that happening during the season where he's gonna announce, especially this is gonna be my last year.
Like week 8.
Probably maybe
midway through the year. Hey, I'm gonna retire.
The Bucks roster isn't as good as it has been the last couple of seasons, but I still think they'll probably make the playoffs. I expect them maybe a playoff, maybe a la Ray Lewis.
There was, yeah, I feel you on that. There was another rumor that Tom Brady, when he was out for those 11 days, there was a rumor going around. There was speculation that he was going to appear on Fox's The Masked Singer, but that was quickly shot down. So that would have been insane if he would have been on The Masked Singer. So there we go. Just some more Brady weirdness, man. I'm not getting good vibes from Brady like I usually do. I usually feel really confident in Tom Brady entering a season, but this year, for some reason, I just don't know if he's quite all in.
And knowing Tom Brady's probably going to throw 30 touchdowns this season anyway.
He'll probably beat the Cowboys' ass on Sunday night.
They'll probably lose 5 games at most.
Divisional round, maybe NFC Championship game.
Yeah. The Bucks are in trouble though. They lost. Their top 3 centers are injured, so you gotta look at that.
Yeah, good note right there, Aiden. I did not realize that, but hey, there we go. You're the football encyclopedia. Another thing that happened this past week, Aaron Donald went crazy at a joint practice with the Bengals. He swung some helmets around, hit a couple of players with helmets.
He's got a temper, man.
He has a temper. Last year, he got into an altercation with the Cowboys at camp. I think a year prior to that, he also got into another altercation. I believe it was with the Raiders when they were doing those joint practices. My question to you, Aiden, is should the NFL punish Donald, or is trying to watch over every single practice just not practical for the NFL?
If Aaron Donald, did they ever suspend Myles Garrett for his helmet thing?
Yes,
they did.
It happened during a game though, not at practice.
Yeah, and he's probably, right now is the consensus best player in the NFL. So I don't think he'll probably get fined for sure.
The Rams did come out and say that they are going to handle this internally.
They're probably going to give him a fine, team fine or whatever. Which Aaron Donald, and he probably, it's not going to matter much to him anyway. Aaron Donald's still gonna play like one of the best, like the best player in the world.
You gotta be,
so to speak.
You gotta be a tad bit off though to be that good and that like vicious on the defensive line. So it doesn't really surprise me that Aaron Donald has this in him.
I gotta say he's probably the best defensive player of this generation. Let's be real, like of this past decade and whatnot.
So he's like our modern day Lawrence.
Modern day Lawrence Taylor. Yeah. Modern day Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Just you think modern day Reggie White. Just think of
all the all time greats.
And well, deservedly so. I mean, we saw how well he played in the playoffs.
I mean, you're right about that. He had the big hit at the end to kind of force the game and seal it for the Rams. All right, so
but like I said, I don't think he'll get suspended. He's basically the face of the NFL now.
So another thing happened, which is quite disturbing. The punt god, Matt Araiza, how do you say his name? Araiza,
I think.
Matt Araiza reportedly is being accused of now, just a warning, reportedly being accused of gang raping a 17-year-old girl last year while at San Diego State University. Good Lord. And some of the details in this are very graphic. Reportedly, it was him and like 3 other guys. She was drunk, she was intoxicated beyond belief, and that she had 3 piercings on her body. They were all ripped out during the course of this quote-unquote gang rape. And now the Bills have released him. They released him last night, effective immediately. And yeah, man. So Ariza came out and had a statement. This is Matt Ariza's statement on what happened. Matt Ariza says, "The facts of the incident are not what they are portrayed in the lawsuit or in the press. I look forward to quickly setting the record straight."
I mean, there's got to be fire to this, so the Bills like cut him within a day or 2 of this coming out.
And
am I gonna say he was involved in the actual rape? No, but still, if you're involved somehow and the news has come out and this happened,
this happened last year.
This happened last year,
last year while he was still a player at San Diego State. So
I mean, you gotta. I mean, if he was around his buddies and say he didn't do it, but he didn't say anything, that's still a bad look for him as well.
That's
still a bad thing to do on his part, no matter what. So
the Bills had no choice here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had no choice. He's a punter. I get it. He punts the hell out of the ball. He's a weapon on that front. But, dude, you cannot keep a guy around like that in today's day and age, in today's NFL. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. He'll have his day in court.
And to be real on this, like, there's, it's really hard to explain, but if you're a man, you know there are ways to get out of situations like this. Like, I don't put myself in any situations like that. You don't. I mean,
No.
Most good men, they don't get involved in anything like this, or so for. They're just, it's a tough subject to talk about. You know, I'm having trouble, finding words for this, but yeah, man, it's really bad.
It's a very disturbing thing, and we for the victim, of course, we feel for her, and for Matt Ariza, if he did do this, man, if things come to light that he actually did this, then yeah, man, you're not a good dude, and you should never play in the NFL. That's just what it is. So just some NFL pigskin headlines here on this episode 87 of the Sunday Sports Rush. Hit us up on the text line 361-882-5397. I got some guys in here talking Tyron Smith on Facebook. I'll get to a couple of their comments here after the break, but coming up next, Friday Night Lights were back. We talked some of the biggest headlines from the Texas high school football Coastal Bend Week 1 slate. Keep it locked right here. It's the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush, episode 87. James Espinosa and Adin Ducker hanging out with you till 11 a.m. Coming up in 10 minutes, we have an interview with Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas, talking all things Dallas Cowboys. As they end the preseason and head to the regular season, we'll pick Shane's brain and ask him his thoughts on everything Cowboys. That's coming up in 10 minutes' time. Quickly, shout out to Nucky's Cocktail Bar down in Kingsville, 1406 North 14th Street. These guys are amazing. Andrew Morales, Marcus Salinas, those guys have our back here at the Sunday Sports Rush. It's all-day happy hour today. It's a reason enough to go to Kingsville. If you live in Kingsville, you already know about Nucky's. If you don't, it is a hidden gem. Get down to Kingsville right now. Get some of their mouth-watering wings. Get some Texas craft beer, some domestics on draft, and some fresh handcrafted cocktails. It is Nucky's Cocktail Bar, 1406 North 14th Street in Kingsville. Thank you for sponsoring the Sunday Sports Rush. All right, real quickly, one comment on the Tyron Smith situation. This one comes in on Facebook. We've been talking about the Tyron Smith injury and what the Cowboys should do and if they're going to be okay and should it be time to hit the panic button. Well, Adrian hit me up on Facebook. Adrian says, I don't think it'll be as bad as many think. We play a pretty cupcake schedule.
Come on, Adrian.
We play the Eagles, Giants, and Commanders twice. It'll all come down to offensive coordinator Kellen Moore's creativity and Dak's ability to improvise. Oh, okay. A cupcake schedule. Adrian, please put the Jerry Kool-Aid down, bro. You have been indoctrined. I can already tell. Put it down. Flip those blue shades off. There is no such thing as a cupcake schedule in the NFL. All right? The NFL is the NFL. It's the toughest football league in the world. You got to bring it every damn week.
So they, outside of the division, the Cowboys, they finished first in the division last season, so they play all the first place teams in the other division.
How is that a cupcake schedule?
They're going to play the Packers. They're going to play
the Bengals.
The Bengals.
Yeah.
They're going to play the Bucks. They're going to play the Rams. And who are they playing in the AFC?
In the AFC, they got the Titans, Texans, Jags.
So I guess that's a little bit of a break there. It's the weakest AFC division,
Colts.
But still, the Colts and Titans are not going to be slouches at all. They're going to be tough to beat.
I don't buy that it's a cupcake. I mean, I'm sorry, I got to disagree with that take, Adrian. I know you mean well, man, but let's do a little bit of a better job of not getting Jim Jones by Jerry Jones and sipping that death Kool-Aid that he's been spewing all offseason long. 361-882-5397. Hit us up if you got any more Cowboys takes. We're here for it. All right. So this past week, the Texas high school football season officially kicked off, and it started off with a little bit of an adventure here for us at 1440 Keys. We are the home of GP Wildcat football. We broadcast every single game every single year. Until this year, because Calallen ISD did not allow us to broadcast from their stadium. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yes.
I am not going to go into any more details, but if you're a smart person out there, you can put two and two together as to why they probably didn't let us broadcast from their stadium.
Let's just say that y'all were able to make the John Paul broadcast work.
We did make the John Paul London broadcast work, and shout out to John Paul. They were very accommodating, very nice. London as well. Great programs out there. We wish them the best of luck. London did beat John Paul, though, 52-0. So that happened. We were out there. Speaking of the Cowallen game, Cowallen defeated GP 22-12. It was Cowallen's 8th straight win versus Gregory Portland. So Cowallen's kind of been dominating the series, for the past 8 years, almost going on a decade. But the big story of the game, and it was so unfortunate that it happened early in the second quarter. Gregory Portland was driving inside Cowallen's 10-yard line. Quarterback senior Brandon Redden it looked like he was going on a quarterback option run.
It was a keeper.
Yeah, it was a keeper to the left side, a little keeper sweep off left tackle. And he got his leg caught up under him. And if you've seen the Dak Prescott injury, it was pretty much just like that. And Brandon Redden is now out for the entire year for the Gregory Portland Wildcats. Such an unfortunate incident for that young man.
It was the angle, and he had the full weight of 2 interior linemen going on top of that leg as well.
Oh, my God, man.
So I feel bad for him. He was we know he was going to show out his senior year, too. And I just hope he fully recovers from the injury. I don't know if he played any other sports besides football.
He played basketball.
Yeah, I don't. It's just unfortunate for the young man, and I just just hope for a full recovery. He's able to
bounce
back and whatnot.
Yeah, man. So GP now has a ton of questions going forward as to who's going to be their quarterback. We will have the GP game on our airwaves Friday night in Gregory Portland, Ray Aikens Wildcat Stadium, where they're going to take on the 1-0 Carroll Tigers. Aiden, Carroll won.
Yes, they
defeated Ed Couch,
and that's one of the better Valley teams too. And they went down to the Valley too. And apparently this quarterback at Carroll's got an arm.
Benny Hernandez has a nice arm. Carroll looked good. It was the first game under Cal Netherland. Carroll won 52-28. So now GP 0-1 against a 1-0 Carroll in the 52nd annual Battle of the Bridge. That's going to be a fun game to broadcast.
Yeah, this is what I've wanted from Carroll. I'm liking this so far. I think they're going to be a tough out in the district.
Some
for
more.
Sure.
I agree, man. They're going to be a better team. Some more scores from around the area. New Braunfels Canyon defeated Veterans Memorial 43-42. That was a tough loss, but a very competitive game.
Yeah, it was the last second too, right?
Yeah,
I believe
it was. Flower Bluff fell 35-32 against Bernie. That was another tough game. Bernie came back in the later parts of that game, scored 14 points in the third quarter to take the lead and hold on. So Flower Bluff had a loss. Alice defeated King 49-7. Big win for Alice. Alice looked good with their new quarterback, Cutter Stewart, so that's something to keep an eye on. Robstown beat my Kingsville Brahmas 52-12. Robstown put it on Kingsville, bro. Whoa. That's tough right there. Some more quick scores. Orange Grove 53, Hebronville 0, Falfurrias 30, Santa Maria 14. Getting down to an upset. Hitchcock 49, Refugio 12. Refugio got smoked by Hitchcock 49-12.
And to keep it along the same district, Shiner also lost too.
Man, there was a lot of upsets here in this first week of the Texas high school football season.
In the entire state, there was a lot of upset.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
It's a good teaching lesson to your kids if you're a football coach. Like, don't take any week for granted. Always bring them no matter what you think about the other team, is before you play them. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. Good teaching lesson for all those teams. Miller defeated Rockport Fulton in Rockport Fulton 35-14. The Miller Bucks look good.
I think to me the most impressive looking team out of week 1 so far was Miller. And that Brown Axum connection looked very crisp. I saw the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like another offseason got them, they look efficient.
They do.
And the defense, I think we have time to play.
We do have time. So Justin Evans, head coach of the Miller Buccaneers. There's been a narrative around Miller that, they don't play defense. Miller, you could score 40 on them every game. They're always in shootouts because of their prolific offense and their lack of defense. Well, Justin Evans had some comments to the Corpus Christi Caller-Times after the game. Here is Justin Evans talking about the narrative around his defense.
Our defense played phenomenal. They hear it every week. We don't play defense. We don't play defense. And so, they take it personal. The narrative is no longer that Miller doesn't play defense. We play defense, and we play offense too. And so teams are going to have to prepare for both of us. But that touchdown right before the half was huge. It really made it a 3-possession game, and we were able to kind of go away with it.
There he is, Justin Evans, head coach of Miller, talking about the narrative is changing, and they hear it. The Miller Bucks hear it. They hear you guys out there saying they can't play defense, and they're trying to prove you wrong. So, hey, hopefully they can, because I would love to see Miller go far. I would love to see that program take that next step, get into the 4th round, maybe win a region, maybe win the district. They're in that district with veterans and all the CCISD schools and Victoria schools. If they can get that defense a little bit better, they could win that district.
Oh, yeah, they put the district on notice right there.
I would say so, because Rockport Fulton is no slouch at all. They are a tough team out there, and the Miller Buccaneers with a big Week 1 victory. So that's going to wrap up our Texas high school football recap. All right, so coming up next, we have Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas. We're talking Dallas Cowboys, baby. Official home of the Dallas Cowboys. Shane Carter talking Dallas Cowboys coming up next. Keep it right here on the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush, episode number 87. It's James Espinosa and Adin Ducker with you till 11 a.m. Coming up in about 15 minutes, I got my debut of James's Dallas Cowboys Sports Diary. My first entry was made last night, and I'm going to be brave enough to share it with you, the listening audience, so make sure you stick around for that. But right now, on the line, we have Shane Carter of A to Z Sports Dallas and host of the Them Boys podcast. I've known Shane through Twitter for quite a while. He has some good Cowboys takes. He writes great articles for A to Z Dallas. Shane, my man, good morning.
Good morning. It's kind of generous to say that I make good takes. I think I make baseless ones at best, but I appreciate the compliment.
Hey, man. Well, you're one of my favorite guys on Twitter because you're pretty level-headed. You know what I mean? I don't think you skew, too much towards the the blue-shaded Cowboys fans where everything that glitters is gold. You kind of keep it even keel, and I appreciate that out of you, Shane. First and foremost, man, I just literally saw right now on Twitter that you just dropped a fresh article on A to Z Dallas concerning some of the Cowboys rumors with the wide receiver position. In particular, former Baylor wide receiver Denzel Mims. There's a connection with Dallas? Is that correct, Shane?
Well, this connection's actually gone back a few months. Denzel Mims has made it clear that he's unhappy in New York. He's fallen down the depth chart. Injuries have hurt his career, as well as the inconsistencies at the offensive coordinator and staff positions in New York, and I think a change of scenery for him would do good for all sides. And considering he's still young, I think he's only 24 years old. He has the size and speed you want. 6'3", 220, ran a 4.38 40 in the combine, and he has that untapped potential that you need. And just based off that, and going into a Cowboys wide receiver room which has question marks on question marks and behind CD Lamb, it might be a welcome change.
I would agree with that, man. I mean, look, it doesn't hurt at all to bring him in. And speaking of that Dallas Cowboys wide receiver room, I mean, honestly, man, what's your level of confidence with this group? I mean, we know what CD can do, but I mean, you got the guys behind him, the Dennis Houstons, the rookie Jalen Tolbert, all those guys who've been playing in the preseason. How do you feel about this going into Week 1?
Yeah, I'm still uneasy about it, but a lot of it has to do with just because, one, we don't know when Michael Gallup will be back.
Yep.
They made it known that he won't start the season on PUP, so he's going to take up a 53-man roster spot. So he's going to be on the team, but we might not see him until as early as Week 3 because he's already been confirmed that he won't play in the first 2 games. So the earliest we might see him will be Week 3, or possibly even Week 4 against one of the NFC East opponents. They played the Giants and Commanders after their first 2 tests against the Bucs and the Bengals. And obviously James Washington is still up in the air. He's expected to miss time with that foot injury. He might start the season on PUP, which would open up a roster spot. But then behind Lamb and Gallup, it's a bunch of guys that right now do some things well, just not all things. Noah Brown has been kind of a standout in camp, but he's 6 years into his career, and so I don't know why people expect him to be anything more than he is. I think he has a connection with Dak, which is nice. He's a great blocker. He might be their best blocking wide receiver, which is nice. He's got reliable hands, not great hands, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he has had a real good camp. Timmy Fehoko, he has taken a step, but I mean, until we see anything beyond him being just a potential freak who has the same dimensions of a Denzel Mims, but he's 6'4", 220 with a slider frame, but he has that downfield ability. Dennis Houston, as you mentioned, he's the undrafted free agent out of Western Illinois. He's had a solid camp, just hadn't really put it all together all that well in the preseason games. But he has that connection with Dak, and he has a chance to make this roster. Monte Turpin is that speedster that at USFL from TCU, but he's going to be a wide receiver in name only. I think he'll be exclusively used on special teams. I mean, if they want to use him a little bit as a gadget player, that's fine, but I would rather just use that speed for primarily the special teams. And so beyond that, I don't know how well my confidence is beyond Lamb and until Gallup returns. I think you're going to see a lot of passes to Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson. You'll see I'm expecting a lot of 12 personnel at least to start the season.
That's what I'm kind of picturing too, man, is, we saw it last year with Schultz, right? Whenever things were taken away deep down the field, whenever the defenses started to kind of figure out, hey, if we flood the secondary with 7 guys dropping back, it's a little bit harder for those receivers to get open. It's a little bit harder for Dak to, digest what's going on. And, we saw Schultz benefit from that greatly. So I agree with you on that point. We probably will see a lot of that early on until the Cowboys start clicking or, somebody emerges from that group. Now, Jalen Tolbert, right? Rookie wide receiver, 3rd-round pick. Have you been impressed with him in the preseason? Because I know he's had some drops. He's made a few plays, but I just feel like there's, a little bit more to be desired from what we've seen so far.
What I've been impressed with him is his ability to get open, and that's one of his best attributes coming out of South Alabama was his route running ability and his second-level separation. You're right, he has that issue with drops, but a lot of it has also been with the inconsistency of the quarterback play from Cooper Rush and Nucky. Will Grier has been the best quarterback in the preseason games, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But Tolbert has had some drops. That was an issue with him coming out of South Alabama, was that he would drop passes from time to time. But the upside of him is that if he can learn to haul those in, that he has that second-level speed that you would need from a receiver like that. So, and considering he's a rookie, and they're asking a lot of a rookie to come in and be that wide receiver 3 or 4, is a lot. But, if you're going to start off a rookie with high upside but has issues early on, having a quarterback like Dak Prescott throwing you the ball can only help you.
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier than like you said, Cooper Rush potentially doing that or Will Grier. Let's go ahead and jump into that topic right now, man. Quarterback 2 for the Cowboys. Of course, it's always a debated subject during these preseason games. Cooper Rush has played. We've seen Will Grier play. We've seen Ben DiNucci play, but pretty much it's coming down to Grier or Cooper Rush. Who do you want to be quarterback 2, and how do you foresee that playing out?
Well, who I want and what's going to happen is 2 different things. Cooper Rush is probably going to end up being the quarterback 2. He had the benefit of the doubt because of the Minnesota game last year. He knows Kellen Moore. He knows Dak. He knows the system. He knows the receivers. And a lot of people they really take for granted that rapport you can have with your receivers. And so I think Cooper Rush is going to end up getting the job. The interesting thing will be if they decide to keep 3 quarterbacks, because Will Grier has played so well, except for the first quarter that he played against Seattle. Outside of that, he's been solid. And so it'll be interesting to see if they want to keep 3 quarterbacks, because that would also deplete depth potentially in other areas that they're looking to carry more.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I like Will Grier. I mean, what I've seen out of him, the athleticism, he seems to be a little bit of a gunslinger. We saw it when he was at West Virginia, the kind of numbers he was putting up there. So he's an athlete. I would favor Grier, but I agree with you that the establishment already probably has Cooper Rush slotted at quarterback 2. We're here with Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas, talking all things Dallas Cowboys. Let's go ahead and jump into the big elephant in the room, Tyron Smith. He went down earlier this week, tore his hamstring off of the bone, gonna need surgery. He's gonna be out till at least December, possibly the entire season. Shane, is the replacement on the roster, or do the Cowboys need to be on the phone right now getting somebody off of free agency or via trade?
Well, the answer to both those questions is yes. They have his replacement on the roster right now in Tyler Smith. They drafted him to be that guy, even though this year he was supposed to come in and simply just play left guard. But I do think that they still need to look for an outside help at tackle, just because if Tyler Smith ain't ready and hits that rookie wall, and you're forced to play another offensive tackle, you haven't really got anybody that's ready to start. Josh Ball and Matt Wetsko are both guys who've never taken a real NFL snap. Aviante Collins has primarily played right tackle this year, and it really feels like that the Cowboys are so invested in playing their young guys that they're almost blind to the fact that the disadvantages that they have on the offensive line will affect this team more than they realize. Last year in the playoff game, the biggest things that hurt the Cowboys were their offensive and defensive line. They addressed the defensive line. They progressed the defensive line, and I don't think that'll be an issue this year. The offensive line, the way it's set up, outside of Zach Martin, there really ain't anybody on that starting five that I have 100% confidence in. I don't think Connor McGovern's a left guard. I think he's primarily a right guard. Terrence Steele hadn't taken that next step going into year 3, taking over for Lel Collins. He looked average at best in the offseason. Biotish looks about the same, although I give him credit. He is a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. He was that way in Wisconsin. And Tyler Smith is just a mauler. And the thing that I don't really like the idea of is that you want your rookies to play, but I don't know how I feel about rookies going through progressions and dealing with what they have to deal with in their first year, but you're also covering the quarterback's blind side. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, man. We talked about it earlier on the show. This has been the topic of the day, pretty much, the Tyron Smith and what are the Cowboys going to do. I am legitimately concerned for Dak Prescott if they trot out Ball. Well, let's go. I'm even concerned if they trot out Tyler Smith, man, because he hasn't had left tackle snaps since June. And, it's just one of those things. You're saying they're going to put these guys trial by fire, but trial by fire in the NFL can get your quarterback one knocked out for a month or two. So I feel you on that point, man. It's just amazing to me how Jerry and Stephen Jones kind of just ignored the fact that, hey, Tyron Smith has been hurt consistently since 2015. They didn't bring anybody in as a, whatever, swing tackle, whatever you want to call it. And, yeah, I am concerned, to say the least.
So I would say this, that, for one, Tyron Smith has missed 32 games since 2015. That's enough to fill 2 16-game seasons.
Yes.
I think the likelihood is that after initial cuts on Tuesday, they're going to go through that waiver wire, the 24-hour waiver wire, the next day, see if there's a upgrade available, potentially. You never know. And then maybe, just because we have until the 11th, we have until September 11th, they might seek a trade. And one player I put out there as an option, which apparently actually has legs the day after I put it out there, was Jacksonville Jaguars tackle Walker Little, who played both left and right tackle for the Jags last year. He was the Jags' second-round pick back in 2021, and he and his wife are both from Texas. And when I tweeted out the opinion of that right before the report that the Cowboys were showing interest in Walker Little, his wife did like my tweet. So I think there's legs there to keep an eye on. So I would keep an eye on Walker Little just in case.
That's a nice little nugget right there, Shane. We're here with Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas. Shane, so yeah, offensive line, of course, a lot of questions, not too many answers right now. Jerry Jones was on First Take Shane. Did you get to see any of those audio clips of Jerry Jones pretty much going full spin zone with Stephen A. Smith?
I'm so sick of it. I was sick of it when in the offseason they announced the schedule video, and the first thing you saw was Stephen A. smoking a cigar and a cowboy hat. It's almost like that the Cowboys front office is trolling the fans because they know that this is how they get attention. And Jerry has made it very clear they want to win, but he wants them to win his way. He wants them to be the center of attention. He wants them to be the center of the sports world. And every time something happens with an NFL team, I'm always concerned that Jerry or Stephen's going to say something stupid or outlandish or they're going to do something stupid and outlandish that's going to get them right back in the forefront. Just because the Cowboys they're living off the past, and that's been the issue.
I agree.
And as far as First Take goes, I hadn't watched First Take in a long time. I hadn't watched Undisputed in a long time, just because as I've gotten more and more in the sports world as a career, I've learned more and more to be less impressed with yellow journalism, hot takes, shock jocks, or whatever you want to call them, just because I don't respect people who make money off bad opinions and bad takes just because it drives attention. And I respect clear analysis, whether it hurts the team or not, as long as it's honest and upfront.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. I honestly am not the biggest First Take guy, Undisputed guy. You see the clips on Twitter, and you might click on them from time to time just to see what Skip said next or some outlandish thing that Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. might say. But no, I agree with you on that, man. And look, the whole Jerry Jones thing, it drove me insane watching him just kind of, pander towards Stephen A. and making jokes in light of whatever's going on, and forget the fact that Tyron Smith just got hurt. We have First Take out here. We got all the fans riled up. It's just a circus, man. But hey, you know what? It creates content, and I guess that's good for both of us, I suppose, in the long run. Let's go ahead and dive right back into it, man. Dak Prescott entering his 7th year in the NFL. Is it fair to say that we need Dak to take that next step more than ever before?
Well, it is, whether we like it or not, just because the front office hadn't really done him any favors. They traded away his top weapon, Amari Cooper. They traded away his underrated top weapon, and Cedric Wilson. I'm sorry, they let him walk in free agency.
Yeah.
The offensive line has gotten older, but they've really only waited until like this last year to address it. By drafting Josh Ball, hoping that he'd develop into something. They drafted Tyler Smith this year, hoping that he'd be the starting guard, but they didn't really address the swing tackle position like I hoped they would, even though in years past they'd gone out and got a veteran swing tackle, just because it's been known that Tyron Smith was going to miss a guaranteed 3 games at least. Every year since 2015, you just talked about it. Every year he's missed at least 3 games out of the season. And going into a year where your weapons are worse than they were at this time last year, just based on like where they are in development stage, and your offensive line is undoubtedly worse, even though I think they've upgraded at left guard with Tyler Smith over Connor Williams. Dak has a lot more on his shoulders. Kellen Moore has a lot more on his shoulders. Mike McCarthy has a lot more on his shoulders. Mike McCarthy is facing just as much heat as Dak Prescott is, because he's got people like Dan Quinn and Sean Payton in the stand down the back of his head, just waiting for Jerry to pull that trigger.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, dude. I can't imagine being Mike McCarthy in that situation. Dak Prescott, of course, weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's expected to carry the brunt of that offense. One last question with you, Shane, because we're coming up on our clock here. Final question for Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas, and we appreciate you being on, man. What is your Cowboys record, and how do you see the season ending for Dallas?
I think they'll still win the East. I looked at the schedule. I mean, just based on their team, I think they are 11-6 at best, 8-9 at worst. I think they'll still win the East, but I think they're out of the first round again, depending on who their opponent is. If it's the Saints or the Cardinals, I think they have a shot. If they play the Niners again, no, there's at the very least 3 teams in the NFC that I would say definitively right now are better than the Cowboys. But there's only one that I would say that right now I don't think they could beat on a neutral site, and that's the Rams. Every other team they can beat, I just don't think they have the wherewithal to beat the top 3 teams in the NFL, and that's obviously going to depend on their first round matchup. So whether it's 8-9 or 11-6, that's where the Cowboys are going to land this year.
Well, Shane, it sounds like same old song, same old dance. Good team, regular season, division champs, but hey, where it matters most, man, we'll see what happens. Shane, dude, we appreciate you being on this morning. Let's do it again, man.
Hell yeah, let's do it again.
All right. Hey, there goes Shane Carter. Shane, you have yourself a good rest of your day, bro. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Y'all take care now.
Yes, sir. There you go. Shane Carter, A to Z Dallas. Hit him up on Twitter as well. At Shane Carter TX. All right, that wraps up that interview. We got one more segment left. I debut James's Dallas Cowboys diary. Keep it locked to the Sunday Sports Rush. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Rush. We just had Shane Carter of A to Z Dallas on the line with us. Some great, thoughtful insight on the Cowboys heading into the 2022 season. We'll have that podcasted on our Spotify and SoundCloud page shortly after the show, so keep your eyes out for that. Shout out to Crossroads Clinical Research. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. Jerry Plemons, of course, one solid-ass dude. Hit him up at 361-288-4668. Working on weight loss surveys, working on vaccines to prevent birth defects. Hit him up, 361-288-4668. Thanks once again to our friends at Crossroads Clinical Research for sponsoring the show. All right, that was awesome, man. Shane was good. I like Shane. Shane was awesome. Make sure you follow him at Shane Carter TX on Twitter for all his articles and thoughts on the Cowboys. Speaking of the Cowboys, I wanted to debut something here in this last and final segment. It is my Dallas Cowboys diary. Sorry, I was stumbling over myself. I needed a drink of water real quick. I'm going to debut here James's Dallas Cowboys diary. Now, Aiden, before you hit the bed music, let me just explain something to the listening audience. I have a lot of thoughts on the Cowboys. I have a lot of feelings, and I express them on air, but it was recently suggested to me that I should write these down on paper because it's going to help me kind of cope with some of my Cowboys fandom, some of the things that make me emotional about the Cowboys. So, wait no further. It is the debut of James's Cowboys Sports Diary. Audio. It should be up there, Aiden, in green. There it is.
You put it up there, so yeah. But we got it.
Dear Dallas Cowboys Football Diary, I'm a little nervous. This is my first time writing my thoughts and feelings about the Cowboys. The beginning of the week started off great. The Cowboys have been working hard in training camp and managing to keep the majority of their starters healthy. Until Tyron Smith went down again. I'm sad, Cowboys Diary. Why does Jerry and Stephen Jones continue to not plan properly with roster management? It's like they will never learn. I suppose that is the crux of being a Cowboys fan. I am cautiously optimistic, Cowboys Diary. I don't want to get my heart broken again by this franchise that I have an unhealthy relationship with. Why do I do this to myself, Cowboys Diary? Why do I believe in a team year over year with no championship since 1995? I guess that's just a sign of my life. The relentless pursuit for hope with downfalls and stumbles along the way. Maybe I should just give up. Or maybe I should just take it game by game. I'm scared, Cowboys Diary. I'm scared for Dak with this suspect offensive line. I'm nervous because the fan base is still sipping the Jerry Jones spin zone red flag Kool-Aid. It was a circus this past week with First Take in Dallas. The hype train continues to roll on. Oh well, right now it feels like Groundhog Day with the Cowboys. Same old song and dance until proven otherwise. Till next time, Dallas Cowboys Football Diary. James Espinosa. P.S. We them boys. There it is. My first entry into the Dallas Cowboys Sports Diary. I'll be keeping a diary throughout the 2022 season with more entries to come. But I just had to let it out, Aiden. I'm sad right now. I'm nervous.
And knowing with what I think that what's going to happen with the Cowboys are going to rip the diary to shreds by halfway through the season.
Do you think these entries are going to become progressively more aggressive?
They're going to become unhinged.
Oh, my God. When they look back one day and someone finds my Dallas Cowboys Sports Diary, they're going to think I'm a madman, Aiden.
Yeah.
A total madman. All right, moving on. A couple of more stories here to get to. We only have a minute left. The Lakers are going to acquire Patrick Beverly, or has it already happened?
I think it's already official.
Yeah, Patrick Beverly is going to join the Lakers. Just talk about insanity.
He's never missed the playoffs in his career, though.
Well, hey, that's a good thing. So
yeah.
Hopefully that bodes well for LeBron and company. Chet Holmgren is going to miss the 22-23 season with a foot injury. He got injured playing in a Pro-Am game, and the injury occurred with him trying to guard LeBron James for the first time. He got injured trying to guard LeBron.
To be fair,
broken foot.
In the clip, he actually defended him pretty well. It's just the trailing guy after LeBron James missed hit the layup. But I think they said it had something to do with the court. If I know these NBA players have been playing in these small courts, you know, in these leagues or whatnot, but man, I think I would probably chill with that.
Why are they playing Pro-Am games? If I'm an owner of an NBA team, I am pissed off that my players are playing in these exhibitions where they could get hurt.
I'm pretty sure Sam Presti, he's probably devastated. Okay, they lose Chet Holmgren for a year, but then he thought, oh, wait a second, Holmgren Wembanyama front court.
Wow, this could be Holmgren is hurt.
The
now
Thunder
another
have
top
entered,
pick. Oh my God!
The Thunder have entered the Wembanyama sweepstakes. The Thunder and the Spurs are going to be the bottom two teams in the
I cannot
West.
believe that this could be an actual big brain move from Sam Presti saying, you know what, he's hurt. Oh well, let me get another top pick. Let me get Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God. That is insane right there. Man, I did not even think about that possibility. Oh man, that makes me nervous. Another news note to get to. Sister Jean turned 103. Sister Jean of Loyola what's the school? Loyola Chicago.
Loyola Chicago.
She turned 103 this past week. That is pretty cool. I thought I should just mention that. So happy birthday to Sister Jean. Keep on kicking, Sister Jean.
Yeah.
So there we go. Aiden, we did it, man. Our first show post Alex.
It's hitting me right now.
It is hitting me. Alex, we miss you. We love you. Be safe up there in Dallas. But yeah, man, thanks to everybody for getting in this morning on the text line. Shout out to everybody who listened. Shout out to everybody who hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Our sponsors, Crossroads Clinical Research and Nucky's Cocktail Bar in Kingsville. Shout out to you guys. Y'all guys are awesome. Shane Carter, awesome job on this morning with us. We'll have that podcasted here shortly, as well as the entire episode 87 in case you missed anything live. Make sure to hit us up on Spotify and SoundCloud. Search Sunday Sports Rush. Aiden, my man, great job, bro.
Yay!
Get back to watching more of the boys.
Oh, man. I'm still traumatized from yesterday.
Oi! So there we go. That's going to wrap it up. We'll talk to you guys next week. For Adin Ducker, I'm James Espinosa. No more questions. Talk to you next week.